Hello, hello, hello. One of these days I'm going to get around to an intro and an outro. Is that what it's called? One of these days. I'm very indecisive when it comes to something that's going to be permanent. I'm one of those that when I shop, I seriously look at all the reviews and look at different ones. It takes me forever to buy something. So, hey, Scooter Mom. Okay, go ahead. I always give it about 5 minutes for people to get in. Hey, Irish Mart. Oh, I commented on your comment from last night. That was pretty cool what you said. Hey, DJ. I know. I missed you. Where you been? No, I've seen you doing other stuff. I know your time zone's different from us, so it's fine. We all call you something different. Oh, that's funny. It's okay. But yeah, I was so out of it. I am so glad I set an alarm for this for like 1:45 and 2 because I was in there just watching shorts on the computer, da 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 da, and then the alarm went off. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'll have to wake up early to catch one." That's okay. I get it. Same thing. I'm surprised. That was a long one, but it did get kind of interesting. I did like the conversation. Hey, Aaron. Um, and school. Yes. Okay. Irish Ethel. All right. I'll give it another minute or two. But so I did this time. Oh, okay. I will. So I did go through and start editing what I'm reading because it's getting to where are my other glasses? They were right. Oh, it's getting to where it's more information for the auditor and what an auditor would need to know. Yes, I do. I'll turn it off. I don't need it anymore. It's a little bit warm in here when I sat down. Yeah, this was supposed to noise cancel better than that, though. Is that better? Oh gosh, now it's so quiet in here. It's weird. When there's no AC running or heater or fan, it's too quiet in my house. It's weird. So anyway, what I was saying was okay. Um so I mean this was a little over 100-page chapter about the mechanism and aspects of therapy. And that's part 2. We had a part 1. So I did go through this first little bit. So I'm not going to bring up, or I am going to bring that up real quick. I don't see how I would actually need it. Give me just a second. Except for there's a couple places where I am reading. When we get into the drugs part, I don't think I'm going to edit because that's a big deal, when that they talk about. So I didn't know if I really wanted to edit that. All right. Oh, it saved it where we were last time. Huh. All right. Cool. All right. Anybody else jump in? Okay. So if I skip around and something doesn't make sense, because he is big on very very long descriptions or not descriptions. What's what I want? Examples of what he's saying, like stories of people, things like that. And that's the kind of stuff I kind of left out. So like I said, I tried to pick just what we needed to know. So if some If my edit doesn't make sense, I can backtrack if you want me to. Okay, so we had read the last part of this chapter. It's like chapter within a chapter, I guess. Oh, where were we? That was a long piece too. Relative importances and believe and can't believe in quotation marks. So now we're in physical pain and painful emotion commands. Oh, Cricket's here. Hello. All right, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. Oh, let's get the biotine out. And the water. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Because really, some of his examples, he just dumbs it down so much that it's like he's talking to a 5-year-old. You don't really need it all. All right. So physical pain and painful emotion commands. Besides visio and sonic, another vital recall to therapy is the somatic, which is to say the physical pain of the incident. Running a physically painful incident without a somatic is worthless. If physical pain is present, it may come only after considerable unconsciousness has been boiled off, just gotten rid of, really. I think that's what boiled off meant, or they got rid of the emotion. I don't really remember exactly. If the incident contains pain, but the somatic is not turned on, the patient will wriggle his toes and breathe heavily and nervously, or he may have jumping muscles. The foot wriggling is an excellent clue to the presence of any somatic. Turned on or not turned on, breathing heavily and jumping muscles and various twitches without pain denote two things. Either a denier is in the incident and the content isn't being contacted, or if the pre-clear is recounting, the somatic may shut off in the incident or elsewhere. Earlier by command or late by painful emotion. All right, so I'm going to skip all of this. I just wanted to explain. They're going to talk about the different commands and stuff. We don't need to know that. So, so the end of that, the last paragraph of that part, when emotion and pain shutoffs exist in a case, the patient is normally tense of muscle and nervous, given to twitching or merely tension. When pain and emotion are exaggerated by commands, one has a highly dramatizing case on his hands. Okay, now we're talking about the ally versus the antagonist. If you guys remember, in the engrams or our trauma, they talk about an ally because somebody in their life, was on their side, which we've all had that in our lives, I'm sure. And antagonist, we know what that is. It is necessary for the auditor to know the reactive mind's evaluation of importances. Moronic or not, the reactive mind distinguishes violently between friend and foe, about the only piece of differentiation it does. There is a prime test for an ally, and recall that the ally is part of sympathy engrams, the things which are most likely to produce psychosomatic illnesses, immaturities, and confusion on a grand scale. As long as it can rebel and negate, the reactive mind takes care of the enemy so far as it is able. It can, of course, be twisted by circumstances into the valence of the enemy, which is personality, and so cry havoc and abreact. He explains what these are. Abreact, to release repressed emotions by acting out the situation causing the conflict. Okay, I've never heard that word before. Cry havoc and abreact in general if this was a winning balance. This is not the case, however, with the ally. The ally, the person from whom sympathy came when the patient was ill or injured, is heeded and obeyed since his purpose is apparently aligned with the purpose of the individual to survive. The chronic psychosomatic illness is ordinarily from a sympathy engram. This is quite important, for the sympathy engram will be the last or hardest to reach, being aligned with survival purpose. Here, in the ally and the antagonist, we have the age-old tale of hero and the villain, the heroine and the villainess, Mazda and Ahriman. I'm not somebody. The cowboy in the white hat and the cowboy in the black hat. The Hindu trinity is found as source in father, mother, and unborn baby. But the war of good and evil is found as reactive data in the engram bank in the form of the ally and the antagonist. The reactive mind never quibbles, it just reacts. It knows a champion when it sees one, it thinks, and it knows a villain, it supposes. The ally, the champion, is everybody who has any characteristic of the ally. And the antagonist, the villain, is everyone who has any characteristics of the antagonist. So anybody that you meet later, they mean. Further, anything associated with the ally is a champion, and everything associated with antagonist and villainous. Didn't he just repeat himself? If the ally is an aunt, then aunts are good. If the antagonist is a sign painter, then sign painters are all evil. Further, the doilies anti-crocheted mean that doilies are good, and that all lacework is good, and that anything on which lacework sits is good, and that anything which looks like lacework is good, and so on in the ab absurdum, which only the reactive mind can manage without a qualm. And the signs the painter painted are evil, and when they sit, where they sit is evil, and paint is evil, and smell of paint is evil, and brushes are evil, so hairbrushes are evil, so the dresser on which hairbrushes sit is evil, and so on. Yeah, that's a bit, I think, stretched too far there. But I get what he means, like to the auditor and the people in auditing. I get what he's trying to tell them. It's just a bit, I think it's a bit inflated there. I don't know. There are some people that may have, things that restimulate a trauma that is very small, could be something like a paintbrush. I mean, he does follow, therapy to a point. So if you look at it like that, it is possible. So there is such a thing as necessity level. A person may have no engram about going to the electric chair for murder, and yet have an engram about murdering people. Necessity level rises and analytically overwhelms all impulse to kill for the analyzer, which is our regular brain. The reactive mind is our subconscious. So our regular brain, our regular thoughts, knows all about electric chairs. Well, I mean, that's just, I think, basic common sense. Even if people have an impulse to break the law, or like he's going all the way to murder, the thing that stops you from doing those things is there is going to be a consequence. So most people don't have the impulse to do that, but some that do or may not do that because they don't want to go to prison or the electric chair. That's just basic human thought processes, or why we are mostly a civilized society. Given too many current restimulators used too hard by life, an individual caught in the dwindling spiral of reactivated engrams may come at last to a point where he cannot longer remain well. You're trying to hurt my brain, Aaron. Are you talking to me or were you guys having a conversation? Could he microwave a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it? Oh, in when you were in Scientology, I can totally understand because they didn't think it was important. Yeah, they thought, oh, it's all in your mind. And see, I've been through the same thing, AA. When I got sick and went to the ER because I went from being functioning to not being able to function, they put me in a psych ward for 8 days and did no tests because an ER doctor at midnight who came on shift said, well, your CAT scan's clear. I've never seen symptoms like this. It must be psych. A year later, I got diagnosed when I got to the right doctor. But so I feel you. Not as much as you had to deal with everybody around you thinking that you're everything that's wrong with you is a psychosomatic illness and you can't go to a doctor. I at least could go to a doctor. So yeah, that's got to be a very hard thing to deal with in Scientology. Having pains and having problems and not being pressured to not go to the doctor. They say, oh, you can go to the doctor. Yeah, but they wait until the last minute when it's gotten so bad they can't do anything else. I remember a story somebody said, I don't remember who, that there was somebody who was sick for 4 months and they just kept them isolated. I think it was a flu-like thing. I'm not sure. Finally, after 4 months, they let her go to the doctor. And so probably because they couldn't get any work out of her and finally decided, well, let's send her to the doctor. So that would suck. You say 5 years? Sheesh. That's a lot. So where was I? Oh, we were in this paragraph. If this is his first serious SAG, and if the SAG is deep, a psychosomatic illness will appear and become more or less chronic, and this is important. It will stem directly from a sympathy engram. Yeah, he's saying that right there. If your illness gets worse and it's chronic, they think it's an engram that they can get rid of. If the auditor wants to find the real holders, the real reasons his case appears to resist getting well, the real aberrative factors and illnesses, he will look to the ally or allies, for any case may have many. He will exhaust from them the painful emotion of loss or denial and backtrack immediately to find the underlying engrams. Remember, too, that the reactive mind is not bright enough to realize that two sides of the same person are the same person. Hence, we can have Mother the White Angel and Mother the Howling Harridan. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying there. So he just goes into descriptions of that. The solution of chronic psychosomatic ills lies largely in the field of sympathy engrams. These will not erase early, however, for they are the inner bastion behind which the reactive mind crouches and observes the storming of the outer defenses by antagonists. The painful emotion of ally losses masks at times not only allies but antagonists as well. The sympathy engram is not the only source of psychosomatic illness by far, but it is the source of the chronic psychosomatic ill. Oh, I let this part in. By the way, nothing in this dissertation about allies should be construed to mean that one should not show love to a child. Observers in the past have jumped at questionable conclusions when they felt that demonstrated affection aberrates a child. Lack of affection may kill him, but the reverse is not true. The only way an ally can aberrate a child is by talking to and sympathizing with a child who is very ill or unconscious from injury. So he does specify that not, because like I've said before, with what he'd said so far, I'd be scared to death to be a parent. He's saying that as long as you're not doing this when they're very ill or unconscious, so normal everyday interaction should be fine. But we know they don't all take that to heart when they were taking care of the babies. All right, now there's a section called tokens, and it's pretty much what it says. The tale of the magic amulet, the lucky talisman, the belief in the charm, and the long catalog of fetishes, the objects and mannerisms which one keeps as sakes are the dearly beloveds of the reactive mind. There is nothing wrong with a man keeping llamas in the parlor, or wearing purple and green suspenders, or rubbing fire plugs for luck. Nor is there anything wrong with sighing over a stolen lady's slipper or smoking Pittsburgh stogies. Any rights of man should provide for such eccentricities, but the auditor can use this data to detect vital information. In Dianetics, the term token is defined to embrace the objects and habits which an individual or society keeps by not knowing that they are extensions of an ally. A restimulator for a contra-survival engram might be an electric light. The aberry looks to the shade, the pull chain, the room, or the person under the light to be a source of annoyance. And not only does he not know that a restimulator is present, but supposes that the associated objects have some evil in themselves. Hey, Dusty. No. Oh, we didn't fight. I just kind of nipped that in the bud a little bit because, they say you shouldn't talk about religion or politics over the dinner table or in a group. And I thought about that myself, and I'm like, but that's what we do, is we talk about a religion, but it's just the one. So I just tried to keep that level last night. So, but I did, I talked to it as far as the things that they were failing at and we were talking about the fires in California. All right. So he's saying because your trauma is something in a room like a lamp or a shade is restimulating your trauma, you think that particular object is evil, when reality it's just reminding you of a trauma, which we already know to be true. Smell, taste, sound, we already know that can it can bring up good memories and good feelings too. Yeah, DJ, exactly right. Scientology is not a religion. Yeah. Oh, and a couple other people said it. I see it now. Yeah, that's true. It's a cult that we're trying to help people leave and end. All right, where was I? It is most terribly uncomfortable to any aberree who, try as he might, cannot say why he does not like some person or object or locale, and who cannot connect any of the three with the actual item, which is the restimulator, and does not know he has an engram about it, which is why we have the subconscious and we don't always know what it's doing. Okay, this method of detecting engrams leads nowhere quickly, since one cannot select objects, persons, or locales and know they are restimulators. They may be only associative restimulators to the actual restimulator item in the environment. Words contained in engrams, by the way, and any other precise restimulator can push button the aberree into action or apathy if they are used upon him. The token is a very special kind of restimulator. While the auditor may not find much use for the associative restimulator or applied to contra-survival engrams, He can employ the token as a means of detection to locate allies. The token is any object, practice, or mannerism which one or more allies used. Let's see. I've got a little bit. I'm not going to go there. The psychosomatic illness is as well a token, which is to say, it is a reminder of a time when he once had love and care and was told so. I'm skipping all of this. The last paragraph in that section. Complete remembering seems to be a synonym for complete sanity. But don't suppose that just because a clear gets rid of his Uncle Gostons and his habit of spitting on the floor, that he will not now indulge in any eccentricity. The difference is, he is not compelled into eccentricity without his consent. Good Lord, what a cleared mind can think up to keep itself from being bored. All right, next session. What to do if a case stops progressing. Oh, you're still working? Oh, goodness. As soon as I start reading. Even in the easiest cases, there will come times when progress seems to stop. Here is a list of possibilities and why. Look away until I get to the right place. I have to scroll a little bit. We did tokens. Okay, here we go. All right. Number 1, the pre-clear is not moving on the track despite apparent. Oh, wait, hold on. I know what I didn't do. I gotta take me out. Did I accidentally click something? I did. Yeah, could be that too. Oh, I don't have the right glasses on. The pre-clear is not moving on the track despite appearances, but is being subject to one of the 5 types of commands, which can inhibit his free motion of information. The commonest, is that a word? Of these is a holder, and the pre-clear may be found to be in an engram and a strange balance. I didn't go through all those commands. We won't remember them anyway. There is an emotional or pain shutoff. These can always be detected even at the beginning of a case. The patient's muscles will tremble or twitch when he is in an engram, but he will not feel the somatic. This is inevitably a pain shutoff. Out of therapy, the patient may be very tense. His neck muscles in particular may be tight. This is often an emotional shutoff. Either of these conditions can be observed in many aberrees before beginning therapy. If they appear while therapy is in progress, look for pain or emotional shutoffs. There is an exaggerator of emotion and a pain shutoff so that the patient weeps over anything but wriggles and twists when asked to approach pain. He is feeling emotion without feeling pain. I've seen people do these things in normal everyday life. There is an emotional charge in some area which has not been discharged but which is ready to discharge, or conversely, if you have been trying to get an emotional discharge in a late painful emotion engram and have had no success, there is a feeling shut off early in the prenatal area. The auditor's code has been broken. Change auditors or reduce the moments when the code was broken. there is an emotional upset in the patient's life current with therapy. Question him closely and remove the charge, if possible, of the emotional upset as an engram. 7. The auditor has missed an important point in this book. Study it. Alrighty. Switch glasses again. Alright, so we read all that. Okay, now, if a case refuses to get well, it has long been a popular idea, if an erroneous fact, that people desire to retain their neurosis. In any case which resists therapy, you may be certain that the engrams are resisting, not the patient. Do not, therefore, attack the patient, but the engrams. There are many computations which give the appearance of resistance. The commonest of these is the ally computation, which derives from engrams containing allies who seem to plead that the patient is not to rid himself of anything. So they interpret it as to mean he is not to get rid of his engrams. Another computation is the stupidity computation. I did put this one in there. Wherein the preclear begins to believe he will be stupid or lacking a mind if he gives up engrams. Yet another computation is one of secrecy. It seems to the preclear that his life depends upon holding some secret. All cases have one or more computations which inhibit a delivery of engrams. Some have all the above and more. This is no great worry to the auditor, for by repeater technique he can open the engram bank. Now that's where I stopped editing. I didn't realize I would get through it so fast, because the next section is drugs. I'm going to bring that up because I haven't read through it yet. Right. Switching glasses again. All right. So we've heard how LRH hated medications, although he was taking them himself. Sorry, I have something on my glasses. The so-called hypnotics have no great use in Dianetics, except on occasion when a patient is psychotic and narcosynthesis is employed. By hypnotic is meant such preparations as phenobarbital, hyoscine, opium, and so on. These sleep-producing drugs are desirable save only as a sedative and would be administered as sedatives by a medical doctor. Any patient who needs a sedative already has a medical doctor whose business it is. The auditor should not then concern himself with hypnotics or anything producing sleep. Some pre-clears will beg to be given sleeping drugs to facilitate therapy, but any such drug is an anesthetic and shuts down somatics, inhibiting therapy. Further, none but the insane should be worked in amnesia trance, particularly a drug trance, for the work is longer than necessary and the results slow. As elsewhere explained, Dianetics wakes people up. It does not try to drug them or hypnotize them. Hence, the hypnotic drug is worthless to the auditor. Patients who wish to be knocked over the head with lead pipes or otherwise put into a deep trance should not be allowed to have their way, even when they humorously present their own lead pipes. Scrolling. The trick is to put I in contact with the file clerk. All hypnotics work to shut down I while the file clerk can be reached, and Sonic and Visio are available, and even while with much labor, a clearing can be so effected. Even the most hopeless case is better worked in contact. The work is faster, more satisfactory, and less troublesome. When one discovers the science of mind, he inevitably discovers numerous other things not properly in his province. Among these is the confusion which has unwittingly existed about hypnotics. Those things labeled hypnotics, as named above, are not hypnotics at all, but anesthetics. And those things labeled anesthetics are not anesthetics, but hypnotics. Okay, that just hurt my head. This will become brilliantly clear to the auditor when he finds himself tangling with the first anesthetic, nitrous oxide engram, in some preclear. Perhaps there will have been another engram wherein morphine was administered for days, even weeks, leaving the patient in a stupor which, by the definition hypnotic, should have been a trance. Okay. Sorry, I was checking something. The aberrated material will be there, but it will be found to be slight, compared to a chloroform or nitrous oxide engram. Now, I've been on morphine after surgery, and honestly, it did its job, and I didn't ever feel loopy, like he said. Maybe some people do. I don't have I've never had a lot of loopiness with any medication, but I see what he's kind of trying to say. I'm going to scroll up. All right. Ether, chloroform, and nitrous oxide, the anesthetics, place the patient in a deep hypnotic trance. The reactive bank is wide open and all reception is sharp, clear, and aberrative in the extreme. Of the three, nitrous oxide is easily the worst, being no anesthetic, which would dull pain at all, but a first-class hypnotic. In nitrous oxide, the pain is filed and the content is filed with high and brilliant fidelity. Some years ago, some investigator wondered if nitrous oxide did not make the brain decay. Fortunately, brains do not decay that easily, but nitrous oxide does bring into being particularly severe engrams. The serious late-life engrams which the auditor will encounter may include at the list top, a nitrous oxide dental or surgical or obstetrical engram. Nitrous oxide engrams are particularly bad when they involve exodontistry. They often form the most severe late life engram. Aside from the fact that all exodontists have in the past talked too much and have offices which are far too noisy with street sounds, running water, and flapping drill belts. Okay. Nitrous oxide is not at all anesthetic and sharpens rather than dulls pain. I don't know if that's true or not. In reverse, nitrous oxide makes an excellent hypnotic for institutional therapy. It is far from the best obtainable from the chemist, that is certain, for some brilliant chemist will, certainly be able to bring out a good gas hypnotic now that Dianetics is known and the need of it in institution is realized. There are some drugs which assist reverie. Now, he's trying to keep reverie and hypnotism separate. But we know from earlier in the book that really, when he talked about reverie, it really was more of a hypnotic state. So this should be interesting. The commonest and most easily obtainable is plain strong coffee. Really? A cup or two of this occasionally alerts the analyzer enough so that it can reach through deeper layers of unconsciousness. Benzodrine and other commercial stimulants have been used with some success, particularly on psychotic patients. These bring the mind enough awake to permit it to overcome engrammic commands. Such commercial stimulants have the disadvantage of exhausting a Q quantity in the mind. This Q quantity has not been much studied. It is as though the brain burns a certain amount of Q when it is exhausting engrams. For instance, therapy every day may bring results more rapidly, but it will also bring some stale sessions. Therapy every 2 or 3 days produces the best results as observed. Therapy once a week permits the engrams to sag and slows a case, 1 week being too long. Benzodrine burns up Q. After a few sessions with Benzodrine, the current stock of Q is exhausted and the work has been observed to deteriorate either until a higher dosage was administered, and there is a close limit to that, or until more Q was manufactured. So, is he saying that he used that in Dianetics, or is he? Sounds like he was talking about they used that. Hey Adam, how are you doing? Oh, I get loopy on certain meds. Yeah, I honestly never have. Now, I did the first time I think I was given the nitrous oxide. I don't remember. I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and when I woke up, I was hysterical. I was like, "Oh my god, that hurts." So, he might be right in that it's not really a painkiller. It just knocks you out, but you still feel all the pain, because I woke up very distressed about being in a lot of pain. So, I don't know about that for sure. Oh, goodness, you guys. Mm. I know we talked about he used them. Oh, he used them all for research purposes. Yeah, he did. He really did. But yeah, we were talking about that recently, Cricket, how when you meet people in chat and you see their name and they don't always have a picture. And so in your mind you give them, you don't know if they're male or female or how old they are or young they are. That's okay. So, yeah, that gets interesting when you find out you were wrong. um Eat More Pizza Now, I thought was female for a very long time. I don't know, I just, we just come up with something in our brain. But so what is this Q? Is this something that he made up, or is this a thing? Q quantity that your brain uses up? That confused me to some extent. Um but I don't know if I agree with stimulants in therapy to wake the brain up. I think all it would do is make me more anxious. That's just the way I think about it. So I'm gonna scroll. Did we read this? Yes, scrolling. Here, with all this, must be included an important and vital fact. It should be on a page by itself and underscored. All patients in therapy should be given a dosage of vitamin B1 orally or by injection at the minimum of 10 milligram per day. Reducing engrams exhausts Q, which seems to depend on some measure on B1. That's not niacin, is it? It's not another word for niacin. Sounds like Hubbardism to me. Yeah, that's what I think. I've never heard that before. What exactly is vitamin B1? Oh, it's thiamine. Okay. Still, you know what I want to find out? What is the correct dose? Who needs vitamin B1 the most? People with ulcerative colitis, persistent diarrhea, and poor appetite. With peripheral neuropathy and inflammation of nerves outside the brain. He actually got something right. But that's only if you have a problem with that, not just everybody. Oh, is 100 milligram of B1 too much? There is no upper limit for vitamin B1. Doses of 50 milligrams appear to be safe. It must be a water-soluble vitamin like B12 is. I had a doctor lose it over my B12 levels. They were super high, and I'm like, drugs and therapy, I mean, I am on board with that. I need it for sure. Yeah, okay, thanks, Mom. I should have just looked up. The niacin train. I'm sure we're going to get there here soon. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be thrilled about that either. Drugs and therapy. I mean, I get, I've been on anti-anxiety stuff since like the 90s, but it took all those years to find one that works for me and doesn't make me feel weird. Yeah. Me too. I don't think therapy could be bad for anybody if you get a good therapist. You all have heard my story. Almost 95% of my therapists have been just worthless. So thiamine, I get that it's good for the brain if you have some brain issues going on, but if you don't, then I don't see why you would technically need it. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about the amount. Reducing engram, we read that. B1. You can be absolutely certain of nightmares in a patient who is not taking B1. Really? Taking liberal doses of that, he will have no nightmares. Okay. DTs are probably caused by a similar exhaustion of Q quantity. DTs are best treated by B1 and Dianetics. Something like DTs on a very minor scale have been observed to develop in occasional patients who are negligent about their B1. With it in therapy, they thrive. Now, DTs, the only time I've ever heard that term is withdrawals from alcohol. But he's saying he can fix DTs with B1. Alcohol is rarely an assist to the auditor. In fact, alcohol is rarely an assist to anyone. A depressant, classified at best as a poison, alcohol has the single virtue of being highly taxable. All alcoholics are alcoholic because of their engrams. All alcoholics, unless they have injured their brains, which case is cited only because it is possible, not because research in Dianetics demonstrated any real evidence of it, can be released. Alcoholism is engramic. It has become, in some very understandable way, a class of contagious aberration whereby the reactive mind confuses alcohol and being a good sport or having fun or forget your troubles. Some of these things can also be obtained by strychnine and cyanide. What? Alcohol has its uses. One can put specimens of frogs and such in it. One can clean the germs off needles with it. It burns well in rockets. But one would not consider preserving his stomach in a glass jar, and unless insane, does not think of himself as a needle. I'm going to scroll. While some drunks think they can act like rockets, that's a different kind of alcohol for those things. You wouldn't want to drink the kind of alcohol they're using. Few have been observed to reach an altitude of more than the floor. It is not only a poor stimulant depressant, it is also an hypnotic in the finest sense. What is done to a drunk becomes an engram. The chronic alcoholic is physically and mentally ill. Dianetics can clear him or even merely release him without too much trouble, for alcohol is apparently not physiologically logical in its addictive effect. Now, I differ with that, what he just said, because, cricket. I've experienced the DTs. It's not just extreme withdrawal, but a profound break from reality, which is absolutely terrifying and cannot be fixed with any of Hubbard's methods. Oh, I'm not surprising. So, something that extreme, he's saying you just take B1 and you'll be fine. And he's saying alcohol isn't physically addictive. I disagree. Strychnine, yeah, I don't. Where this guy gets his science, I just don't know. The Scientology need a beer, I think. Yeah. So that was an interesting paragraph there. Where were we? The chronic. With the whole range of chemistry, if you can see this, we're right here. With the whole range of chemistry to choose stimulants and depressants from, why the government chooses a superiorly aberrative and inferiorly stimulative compound to legalize is a problem for the better mathematicians, possibly these who deal exclusively in tax income problems. Opium is less harmful. Marijuana is not only less physically harmful, but also better in the action of keeping a neurotic producing. Phenobarbital does not dull the senses nearly as much and produces less after effect. Ammonium chloride and a host of other stimulants are more productive of results and hardly less severe on the anatomy. But no, the engrams contaging unpleasantly along from the first crude brew which made one of our ancestors drunk, decree that alcohol is the only thing which is to be drunk if a person wants to forget it all and have a good time. There is really nothing wrong with alcohol save that it depends mainly on engrams and other advertising for its effect, and it's otherwise remarkably inferior in performance. That it makes such aberrative engrams is probably its main claim to fame and infame. Making one drug immoral and another one taxable is a sample of the alcohol engram in society. However, although it is immensely legal, it is doubtful if the auditor will find any use for it in therapy. And so much for CCHR. Yeah, I didn't get to there, but thanks for saying that, Scooter Mom. Yeah, that sucks that you had to go through that, Cricket. Yeah. I do kind of agree sometimes about it being legal and other things aren't. When there are other things out, like the marijuana, I would love to try it for my fibromyalgia, but because I'm on a pain management contract, they P-test me every couple of months. So I've never been able to try it since I've gotten fibro. And I maybe when we start traveling and we go up to Colorado or something, I wish they would at least make it legal medically. But because I hate the meds that I'm on. The side effects are ridiculous long term. Scooter Mom knows, and some of you may remember, I went off of the gabapentin. I weaned off the right way, but then I went through a week of getting it out of my system, which was bad. It got better, but as soon as I would try to relax at night, I ended up going back on it, but only one at night instead of it. It was prescribed 3 times a day. I think I was taking it twice. And I'm going to ask them to lower my dose when I have my next follow-up. But anyway, the point I was making was some of these synthetic meds they put us on just wreak havoc on our body. And I just think I think I'm very, you guys may not know, but I'm very into natural things. I only use natural cleaners. I've gotten rid of all the toxins in my house. I don't use plastic in the microwave. I try to buy silicone bags. They're expensive, so I get like one every couple months. I still use baggies when necessary because I don't have enough of the silicone. I use glass and stoneware in the microwave. So I'm always reading ingredients in everything that I use. So that goes to medicine too. I would rather be on something more natural than these synthetic meds they want to give us. They wear and tear on your body. So I wonder if in the long run, if it was going to be worth it. I had hoped that my memory would get better going off the gabapentin. It kind of didn't. For 4 days, I thought I had been, oh my goodness. Wow, that's bad. Yeah, the homeless man I was helping, he talked about getting DTs. He didn't go into detail though. And my dad was an alcoholic, but I didn't live. They got divorced when I was like 2.5, so I was never around him all the time. And then he moved away, so I never lived with it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she grew up in Scientology. So Lisa Marie, yeah, every time she tried to get off drugs or alcohol, she would go to the Purip, which probably wasn't helping her all that much. Does he do that? Me neither. I know he does some weird things. I know we have states where it's legal, which makes no sense. Either make it federal or not at all. I know I'm still dealing with the effects of last night. So that's the part I don't like about alcohol. Yeah, you're in Ireland. Oh, it does? I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. I look at everything. If I can't pronounce it and I don't know what it is, I really try hard not to get things that are shelf stable that have ridiculous preservatives in them. But can't always afford it. And I know. It's possible. Didn't LRH drink? I thought I heard that he drank a lot. I don't know. I could just be making that up in my head. Yeah, I think I did hear that. I think I did hear that. But I would think, I don't know how that would marry up. But you know how the leaders are there. It's do as I say, not as I do. So this was an interesting paragraph, actually. I did, because we'd heard, about how he taught about different drugs, but he's getting really specific here. LRH was not self-stable. No. No. All right. Let's see. Where were we? Okay. I'm scrolling. All right. And speaking of drugs, that 3,000 cycle note in your ears came either from a nitrous oxide engram or mother taking lots of quinine before you were born in the hope that she would not be a mother. Saying the while, it makes my ears ring, so it just keeps on and on and on, will not stop. He had to add that, of course. Jeez. All right, auto control. How far in are we? Okay, we got a little bit more time. He definitely drank and took substances, but the extent is not clear. That's what I thought. I knew it, yeah. I don't know. I think it was a lot more than we think. Oh, DM never gets audited, so he can drink. Yeah, I remember that. If you guys don't know, I've heard it a lot that if you drank within 24 hours, you can't drink within 24 hours of an auditing session or certain meds too. Blame Canada Dry. Was on some psych meds at the end, so probably a lot. I think he was on psych meds longer than that. He had serious issues. When we get into, and it might be in Barefaced Messiah too, but I know John Atack talked about how he would curl up in a ball for a couple of days and cry. LRH did. That he would get so upset, and he was so, I mean, he had a lot of issues, and auditing was not helping him. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He wrote a letter to the VA begging for help, and then he went from that to railing on the psychiatric community that schizophrenics, like there was a clinic, he said, if I remember the right words, he said everybody in there was a schizophrenic because no matter what you came in with, they diagnosed you with schizophrenia and put you in the asylum or the clinic or what have you. So it's pretty much just saying it was a money-making scheme. I beg to differ. Schizophrenia is not, I haven't been involved with somebody with it, but my husband has dealt with it a lot when he was working at the motel and stuff. He learned how to deal with people that have it and weren't on their meds. And that they really did. There was a guy that thought there was snakes in his room. My husband went up there, said he got rid of the snakes so the guy could chill out and go to sleep. You know, that kind of thing. Sure. Yeah. For sure. So I didn't go through much more of this. I honestly thought this would take us the auto control. So I think what I'm going to do is I don't want to sit here and read every line to you guys again. So I will go through another now that I know how fast I read. I kind of don't always know how fast I'm going to read something. I'll try to go a little bit longer and edit, because when I edited, I didn't realize how short it was altogether. So this is the first time I've really tried to edit since the beginning. So I will try to have longer. I think I like the editing, at least for this part, because it's just a lot of information we don't need. It's mainly for actual auditors and things like that. It moved. There it is. And it is very misunderstood illness. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I do know some of the problem with it is when they start to, with any med, really, not any disease, people start to feel better and they go off their meds. I talked to you guys about it. It's called bipolar now, but this is just a new label for manic depressive. And I had a grandmother who had custody of her grandkids, and I was when I had my home daycare. She was a put together woman, good job, good marriage, good family. Just one of her kids wasn't doing well with her kids. And then one day, I didn't hear from them or see them for a week, and that was unusual. And then it was 2 weeks, and at that time, that took me down to 2 or 3 kids after school, and I was like, "I'm gonna close. I'm not making enough money to be driving to 3 different schools to pick up kids." It was summertime, so they had time I gave them plenty of time. When I finally did hear from her, she had gone off her meds, and they found her in another state. She just you never know what they're gonna do. Schizophrenia, I don't know enough about that to even speak on it. Yeah, because I mean, isn't it just is it a chemical imbalance or is it also trauma? Um, Now that people take by injection monthly or even less often. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Okay, see you later, DJ. Yeah, it is. So then my husband, because it was Austin, there was a guy that he knew that didn't take the meds and on purpose, but he understood. He kind of knew how to management to a point. I think part of his issue was he had a substance abuse problem. My husband and him talked, and he said, "I just know when I see something weird, it's probably not real, and I know to deal with that." Now he ran one of those scooter rental agencies where you rent a scooter. He hired people to go pick up the scooters and do all that. He just made the profits. But when my husband saw him at the Motel 6, it's because he wasn't doing well. He'd probably been on a med binge because when he was doing well, he stayed in the nice hotel. So he didn't have an apartment. He couldn't. So he says he was managing it, but not all the way. Yeah, that's true. Well, they kind of did that to me. They caused me problems because I was very weak and I couldn't. I was very weak. They didn't, when the first night at the hospital that night, I couldn't move. They didn't give me the button for the nurse, and everybody left, and I was alone all night. And after that, when I got out of the hospital, I couldn't sleep by myself, and it was just me and my daughter. So my daughter had to be up at 5 for a before school activity. So I gave the excuse, well, I can't wait. She was hard to wake up. She has a problem. So I said, you're going to have to sleep with me. Because one morning I actually kicked her out of bed with both of my feet. She rolled off the bed and was still asleep. So it wasn't like she was just ignoring it. It's just, but it took me months to be able to sleep alone. Um, oh God. Are you kidding me? I can understand that. Even my husband, on the peripheral of it, he realized, it wasn't just the mental illness. Those weren't even his problems. It was the drug dealers and the prostitutes. And the whole reason he didn't want to be a guard at the prisons is he didn't want to be around that. And he did that for 8 years, and he was starting to turn into a jerk. So luckily when COVID hit, they took over the motels in Austin for COVID. So they didn't want him anymore. And luckily this other Waco contract opened up, which was night and day to that. It's been a much better. Um, yep. The Unquiet Mind. That is the book I read. Ira Smart. the grandmother to help me understand, she gave me that book. And yeah, that's how I learned about it, the bipolar. That book, it's not a very long book, but there was a doctor that had it. And they go, when you go manic, I mean, you just have grandiose ideas and do wild and crazy stuff. Oh, I need to go back up a little bit. There's some comments here. Okay. That might be what was going on with this grandmother's daughter. Yeah, for sure. That's horrible about that computer. Yeah. See, my husband was actually started to go to college to be an addiction counselor, but he was doing the security guard thing too at the same time. And he'd gotten the first part of college done. Oh, and he found out when he retired at 41 years old, he was finally diagnosed with ADD. They put him on ADD meds, and he was going to college and getting A's and B's when he almost failed high school. He realized after working at the hotel, he didn't like dealing with people. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he just stayed in security. He works at night. He hardly deals with anybody now. He just goes around to different properties and makes sure everything's secure. So yeah, I think he started it too late in life. Yeah, it was an amazing book. Yeah, that was a really, really good book. And then I also read a book about fibromyalgia, a doctor who had it. If I can figure it out, when we do the stream, finally get down and get everybody together. I'll put those books out. They're old because I bought them in 2011. And so everything's changed since then. But I mean, she talked about she had it going through medical school and didn't tell anybody because they were laughing about it in medical school. They didn't take it seriously. Oh, really? That's interesting. Thanks. Thanks, Miss Sunrise. But yeah, I haven't seen very many of her movies. But let me get rid of this. I don't know why I still have it up. But hi, Miss Sunrise. It was kind of a short chapter. I edited it and it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. So I'll try to make sure it's a little bit longer. But I'm getting real close to wanting to be done with this. But I got to finish it. I don't want to miss anything. So we only got a little bit left. And if I edit, we may get this done in a couple. I don't want to promise how long it'll take. So, hey, that's awesome because I found out if you're not signed in or something with your account, sometimes you can't even like something. A lot of times my husband will send me something on Messenger or send me a short or something, and I'll go to try to like it, and it'll be like, no, you have to be signed in. And I'm like, I don't feel like it because I try to like everything. I know it helps channels. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'm going to go in there and lay down. I didn't get enough sleep last night. It's all Scooter Mom's fault. She kept me up. K. Redfield Jameson, The Unquiet Mind and Touch with Fire. I knew fire was in it. I could never remember the first part. Yeah, I still have that book, I think. It's around here somewhere. Unless, I can't say that. I had a flood in a garage that a bunch of my books got ruined. So sometimes I still think I have a book and I don't. Oh, it was? It was? Oh my gosh, I have to see it. I have to see it. Let me look that up on IMDb real quick. See if it's streaming it. I tell you, if you're interested in it was manic depressive bipolar disorder. If you're interested in knowing more about that, that was an excellent book. Let's see, IMDb. What was it called? Touched with Fire. Touched. That's why I love talking with you guys. I find out so much stuff. Yep, Katie Holmes. There it is. Two bipolar patients meet in a psychiatric hospital and begin a romance that brings out all of the beauty and horror of the condition. It's playing on Plex and Prime Video. You have to rent it for $3.79 on Prime. So, while living in a psychiatric hospital, two poets and bipolar patients. Now, they kind of changed that a little bit, didn't they? Because in the book, she was a doctor. Yep, I found it. So, I'm definitely going to give it a look. I used to be addicted to listening to Michael Jackson songs. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. I know what you mean a little bit. But that a lot of times that can also be a Oh, okay. Okay. So this was a second book. Okay, got it. Got it. I understand now. I'm still want to watch it. I get it. Okay. I was thinking yeah, I read the one that had the doctor in it. Oh, let me get rid of this. So, AA Popcorn Planet, I don't know, I can't remember if you knew who that was. He recently, I don't know if it's out yet, has been working on a Michael Jackson documentary. I haven't been over there as much as I used to because I've been in the SPTV stuff, so I don't know if it's out or what he's done with it. But oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Yeah. If I find out about it or where he's released it or if it's been released, I'll put it out. When he was here in Houston and we drove out there to meet up with him, he told us we had to keep it on the down low that he was there because he was working on it. Because that one documentary that was done was it was very misrepresented. It was, on a very bad leaning I don't know how to say it. I think it was called Finding Neverland. I'm not sure if that's what it was called. I've never seen it, so I don't know. Yes. It's his attempt to tear apart the Leaving Neverland allegations. That's it. Because none of that makes any sense anyway. And the way that they filmed it, they redid, like, there was, when they were talking about their trauma or whatever, or what they went through, they would redo the scenes to make it so they were more emotional. I'm like, if you're really telling a trauma you've been here, you shouldn't have to do that. That's just my opinion about it. Man, MSD, I cannot believe you went through that last night. Oh, oh no. No, you weren't even supposed to have it. Yeah. That's what I hear. But I feel like I don't want to get into it all right now. Maybe we'll do a separate stream on that when it comes out. Yeah, I can imagine. I've been like that when things go bad. So when things go wrong, I can lose my shit sometimes. I get frustrated too easily. But man, especially when stuff like that goes wrong. I'm trying to be better, but I'm not. It's hard to break habits that are this old. But well, I hope things are better today. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Whew. I woke up too early this morning. Tom. So sometimes, because Tom works at night, he usually gets home at 7. He gets off at 6. It's an hour drive. Well, sometimes when he gets off, he's too tired to drive, or he'll get halfway and he'll pull over, which I'm grateful for. But when that happens, the monsters want their breakfast on time. So they woke me up at 7 something to get their breakfast. I'm sorry. I know. So, I mean, I don't know what time we got done last night. I wasn't up for very long after that, but I was up by 7:30. See, if I started at 10 and we went to 2:30, I probably fell asleep by 3:30. Yeah. I agree with Cher. I can picture it for you. Totally. Yeah. And say I'm probably guilty of the one freaking out and stressing everybody else out. That's why for the most part we work together, because it takes a lot for my husband to get upset. When he does, there's a good reason. So he kind of deals with me getting upset, and he's the quiet one, and he's dealing with it. He can deal with all kinds of scenarios well when I can't. Yeah. You should. It's free. Yeah. AA will have to explain it more. I only know about the Reiki massage, which is there's these maps of your hands and feet, that each part of your hand, if you massage it, is a different part of your body. Your stomach, your digestive tract, your arms, your leg. And if you get a Reiki massage on your hands or your feet, it's supposed to help everything. I don't know as much about the Reiki energy that AA does. But she's sent it to me a couple times. Like I said, I don't know everything, but I don't discount things either. Those 2 times I never fall asleep like watching something, or like I have to work at going to sleep. I have to turn on the right sounds. I have to get in the right position. I have to lay there for a while. And those 2 times I fell asleep with my glasses on, watching something. And I woke up to my husband taking my glasses off. Hmm. Mhm. And I will, something that really helps me is if you go on YouTube and you just type in 432 megahertz or frequency. Now, there's different frequencies for different things. There's one for healing. And all different ones you'll see. I turn on 432, and and it's just sound. Now, I don't like water sounds because it just sounds annoying, or rain. It's annoying. It has to be slow. So some of those have music, some of those have sounds. I get what the frequency. It's like this. Well, here, I'll show you real quick so you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Let's see, 432. I just type in 432. Let's see. All right. So like there's all different ones. You find the one that's best for you. I like the lower tones than the higher tones because of my ears. Let's see, one that I've actually listened to. And some of them, and so I just let it play on my where's the ones I like? None of these are ones that I've watched. Here's one. And it's now, see, this one says frequency of God. They all say something different. But there's like a 7 something frequency and a 5 something frequency. This one helps me fall asleep. So how do I make it stop? Stop. Okay. But yeah, and when I do play that, now I can't have any light either, so I turn the brightness down. I find it hard to wake up when that's on. So I almost wish I would do one that ends at, some of them may be 3 to 5 hours long. Some of them are live channels that play all night. Oh yeah, I've seen those too. I've got a bunch. I've got a bunch of different things. I've also listened to Tibetan flutes, singing bowls. I do have some storm sounds that I do like thunder and stuff. But it's got to be right. If it's like really fast rain, to me, it sounds like static. Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, I just listened to it to sleep. Okay. Nemo's Dreamscapes. Oh, I found it. Oh, let's see. Okay, that was loud. That would be too much. I don't like too much actual music when I sleep, or unless it's real like calm. Like even a little blue light on a VCR will bother me at night. I have to have total darkness. But yeah, I have quite a few things. I have a playlist for all kinds of stuff, but I've been pretty much sticking with the 432. I like Japanese music, like the strings, if it's real quiet. Oh, yeah. They want I think my husband needs to do it too. I don't think he doesn't snore, but they said there's this other sleep apnea you can have where you wake up a lot. I think he might have that. He does wake up quite a bit. Probably doesn't help he has to sleep during the day. Uh, I'm like, even when I'm nodding off, if I take the few minutes to put the tablet away and get everything right, I'm awake. I'm like, yeah, we have the light blocking curtains all over the house because my husband's been working nights for almost 14 years. Eye mask. I have done that. I've thrown like a towel over my eyes and stuff before, but for the most part, just talking about it, making you tired. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. I forget your time period is different. Well, try out that 432 megahertz or any of them. Just you can start with that and maybe you'll get some other ideas. I like the Tibetan flutes for sleep. And like singing bowls again, it can't be high tones. It has to be low tones for me or they bother my ears. Everybody's different though. You never know what you might find. I tried the Native American flutes. They were a little bit too high. Hey, Susie. We're done reading. We're just chatting now. I rarely wake up feeling well rested. Scooter Mom and me both have chronic fatigue syndrome. It kind of goes along with fibro. And I found out early on, you can sleep for, the problem is our brains don't get into stage 4 sleep, which is the rest and repair phase. So you can sleep for 12 hours, wake up and feel like not rested at all, even though you were asleep. And that's doesn't help the fact that you already have a debilitating illness. And then you can't get the repair of your body when you're asleep. So if I sleep 3-4 straight hours, I'm happy. If it's good, if I feel like I got sleep. 420 megabowls never hurts. That's funny. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the meditation. I do that too. The meditation music, for sure. The spa meditation. That's the biggest thing I used to listen to before I found the 432, and I still is the spa like music because I used to go get a massage at a spa years ago, and I loved the music they played. This was like 2001 to 2003, so we didn't have all of this stuff on the internet. So I had to buy some CDs to listen to, which I did. How you doing, Susie? His so good. Hurts so good. I get it. You guys. But yeah, like I said, I'll try anything. But I swear, my dog, Petunia, because I'm on a weird schedule. I go to sleep really late. But I swear to God, she waits until I go to sleep. 30 minutes after I go to sleep, she's waking me up to go outside. All the time. All the time. And I can't tell her no, because if I tell her no, she'll have an accident. All of our small dogs have had P names. So we've had Pickles, Pepper, Poppy, Peaches, and the only thing I could think of was Petunia. And then we got Tiny, who's a small dog, but he's a boy. And I was trying to find a P name, and my husband named him Tiny. So he's Tiny. She has a senior bladder. I know, right? I know. But yeah. So he was supposed to be a P name too. And we didn't even pick all those names. Some of those dogs came to us with Peaches was already named, Pickles was already named, and Pepper was already named. So it was kind of fate. So we kind of stuck with it. Jasper is the opposite. I usually have to drag him outside in the mornings. No, I don't. My bigger dog doesn't go out as often. I don't make her go out because she will make sure she tells me when she has to go. The other two, if I don't wake up, we keep the baby gate closed because if they can get in the living room, they'll go hide in the hall and have an accident. So if I keep the baby gate closed and they can't hide, they will make sure they wake me up. She used to stand on my chest to wake me up, and now she'll go and hide and have an accident. And I'm just, thank God we don't have carpet. Oh, thanks, Cricket. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. My mods usually don't have to do anything. I have a good people in my group. But thanks, yeah. No, they really don't have to. Well, I don't know if you were here then, but it was way before I could have memberships. And so there are a few people that were just here a lot and early on that since they couldn't get memberships yet, I just made them mods. I told them they didn't actually have to do anything. If I forgot somebody, forgive me. I wish I could like give out memberships. That should be a thing. Instead of having to buy a gifted membership, the creator, it'd be cool if we could like give a membership. Oh, by the way, I did find out yesterday because what I was doing is anybody that was gifting memberships, I put as a sponsor to one of my trips to Austin, but I needed to go back because I had just thought of it, a while back, and I hadn't. There's people before that I need to go back and find, and I didn't know if I could. I Googled it yesterday. Yes, there is a way in YouTube Studio I can see who are my members, who have bought memberships. So when I'll probably try to do it today. I'm going to go in there and make a list so that if you've bought a membership or gifted memberships, or if they've, mostly it's been when I started doing this, it was people that cash apped me. I made them sponsors of a live stream in Austin. So now I can do that and since my membership list is so small, I probably couldn't do that if I had a huge channel, but since I don't, I can do that. Into the tech instead of a show trial keeps the trolls away. Oh, that's awesome. God, I scrolled back up. Well, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just glad it's working. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, my big dog, she's weird. She'll just stand at the foot of the bed or beside me wherever I'm sitting. She'll just sit here and I will feel her stare. Now, if I'm asleep, she'll whine if she actually has to go. She's never had an accident inside. Doing the work is actually hard. Do you mean me? I haven't found any of it really to be hard. It's been a lot easier. I was scared to death at first doing this, and one day I was just like, I'm just going to do it and see how it goes. And I had a couple other people, that I talked to that wanted to start channels. And I said, look, just do it. I said, there's people out there that will want to listen to you. It might, that's the thing about YouTube and having so many people on here is there's an audience for everybody. And me and my husband used to joke before I had this channel because we watch people. And we always said, oh, we don't have the personalities to have a channel. Of course, we're talking about, he watches really big YouTubers that have like a couple million subscribers, that have a really big show that they do. And thank goodness I didn't compare myself to them. But we always joked we didn't have the personality to have a big channel. Well, I didn't want a big channel. And what I started out doing, was just being there. So it was easy. And so I came to the conclusion that, seeing this community grow, that, everybody has a group of channels they watch, and not all of us can watch everyone. So there's something for everybody in the community, even, different age ranges, different people from different backgrounds that do it differently, and eventually somebody will find a creator that they, are in tune or they want to watch. And so I appreciate anyone that comes in here and watches me. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. You guys don't get me emotional. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, Daisy was too. She was from a rescue, and we didn't know any background on her. Yeah. Diving and trying to understanding instead of just complaining. I know, I've always had that kind of a brain. I always want to know the why and the how of something. So, like I said, even when I shop, if I want to buy, say, I don't know, a pair of glasses, I'll look at 5 different ones and I'll read all the reviews and get all the information before I make a decision. So, I'm sad that I never got to go to college. I really wanted to go, but I had to follow Tom in his career. So I've always been, and I like teaching. Yeah, exactly. And we see a lot of the same people too. There are some days I feel like we're stalking each other through different streams. I know. And that goes back to what we've always said. I know we've all said this before, that the community is already a good place to be because, and I just said this last night, you've heard me say it, because to be in the anti-Scientology community, and to want to stay, to be here for the long haul, you have to have a compassion and an interest and a caring to be there. So for, 95% of the community are all here for good reasons. And, we get more out of it. I mean, we're here to support the anti-Scientology, but we also get to do things like this, or like last night, where we can chat with each other and learn different things. And it's not just about that. I learned so much stuff from you guys. And time I learn something, I want to put it out there to other people. When something works for me, I want to tell everybody. You think Scooter's following you? Yeah. I actually had an academic scholarship, an ROTC scholarship, but it was a small college in the middle of nowhere. To commute from my mom's house was 2.5 hours one way. And my school knew I had that scholarship. Now, this was in the 80s. My counselor knew I got that scholarship, and nobody sat down and explained to me about financial aid. And because it was only academic and I saw where it was located, I'm like, there's no way I can find a part-time job to rent an apartment, and I gave up on it. And nobody explained to me, because no one in my family had ever gone to college. I would have been the first. Actually, Tom's the first, and he did it in his 40s. So, and my goal was to do that and then go in the Army as an officer. Because it was an ROTC school, I would have been in ROTC there too, which would have got me, and the college would have got me a commission. That was the plan. Didn't work out. It's okay though. I'm fine with it. Tom had a really good career and took good care of us. Yeah. Yeah. I do tend to chat a little bit too much lately, but I started chatting in the Popcorn Planet community. And when we had our first meetup, first and second, when we got to actually meet people that were we talked to in the chat all the time, it was so much fun. And there was one person, you guys may know, I've seen him in this community, Tinkle Tits McGee. I thought Tinkle Tits was a woman until I met him. I was like, he introduced, I was like, hi. You know what we said, you see somebody's name, you think Tinkle Tits is going to be a woman. It's just a funny name that they made up. So, yeah. You are an officer in anti-Scientology. Yes. Yes. I can feel that for sure. Tinkle Tits McGee. Yes. Have you guys seen him? I've seen him around this community. That's another thing I've noticed. The crossover between Popcorn Planet community and here. Because, Lewis from Nerd Report is part of the Popcorn Planet community. And then he started covering the LA protesters. And then Andy had Aaron on his channel, I think more than when the Danny Masterson stuff was going on. And I was like, there was some crossover there. Because what Popcorn Planet does, if you don't know, he's about pop culture justice. So anything legal going on with celebrities, like I came into there when he covered the Johnny Depp trial. Because I went through a couple channels that just wanted to go, oh, did you see what happened today? And wanted to do clickbait. I wanted, what he did was watched it all day, which was difficult, kind of like reading Dianetics. And then they would talk about it. He had a lawyer friend come on and explain what was going on and go over, what what are those expert witnesses? It was really good. It was really good coverage. And a lot of us stuck with him after that. And he has Steph from England on, Kim from Canada, and Lewis from LA are kind of the group on there. We all think Cricket Cinema has a deep, manly voice, but I wonder. I've seen him in Rabbit's chat. I think he's one of her mods. Yeah, that I could see the crossover there too. Because like I said, Popcorn Planet does pop culture justice, and so does Rabbit to a point. She does true crime and stuff. Yeah. I didn't always watch it. Sometimes I just went over there and let him recap it. But when they were the testimony, I tried to watch. I watched most of it. I did watch most of it. Irish Cricket. But yeah. So that's before the Johnny Depp trial, I did not watch YouTube at all. I was never on YouTube. I was on Facebook to talk to the family, and I binge watched TV, Netflix, and all that because I was stuck at home. And so the Johnny Depp trial was the first time I ever watched YouTube for news or anything. And that was about 3 years ago now, isn't it? And now look at where I'm at. Now I only watch YouTube, and we're about to go through all of our subscriptions and get rid of some because we're not watching some of that stuff anymore. He doesn't have time, because the thing about working nights, if you guys ever have known anybody to work nights, they need extra sleep. It's like, 7 or 8 hours is not enough. So he literally comes home, winds down, goes to sleep, and sleeps till 8 o'clock. Gets up and leaves by 9. So I never see him. We actually talk more while he's at work. We'll FaceTime on Messenger. And so we only have about 1 day a week where we can like sit and watch TV together. So we'll start a show and I end up finishing it because I know he's not going to ever watch it. We were just talking about that yesterday. I've been on YouTube for 6 years, mainly looking at nature and wildlife content before Scientology took over. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I did venture into YouTube here and there. It's just not something I was mainly binge watching. Like when I first got sick, that's when I got into Torchwood and then Doctor Who. And then I binge watched the English Top Gear, the whole, I don't know, up teen seasons. I learned everything I know about cars that I didn't already know. I learned from them. So I binge watched mostly TV and movies until the YouTube stuff. And now when I just turn on YouTube mostly. Really, Miss Sunrise. Like I said, I only had one other one. But that one, like I said, so I'd been homebound and bedridden since 2010. And in 2022, was it? I'm trying to remember when we went to Vegas. So what it was is Johnny Depp was playing in Vegas when he was touring with Jeff Beck, and somebody in Popcorn Planet, they was her name Mercedes? God, I hope I got her name right. She bought them all front row tickets to his concert and helped with hotels and helped with airfare. And I mean, so Kim was able to come from Canada. Steph was able to come from England. There were some other people she helped with hotel rooms. It was amazing. Now, I didn't get tickets to the actual concert. Honestly, that wasn't a big deal to me. I just wanted to go and meet up and just hang out because my back was still bad then. So I literally went to the brunch that I scheduled and the one meetup on Friday right before the concert. And then the whole rest of the time I was laying flat on my back in my room. And then Saturday night we had a meetup. I liked the first meetup better. It was a quieter atmosphere. The second one, it was a very loud bar feel. So the second time, so then my daughter needed me for 3 weeks in September before last. She needed a babysitter while she trained for a work from home job. And it was the first time I got to meet my grandbaby, who's almost a year old. So she's 2. So maybe that was, September before last. Well, then Steph said she was going to hang out with Lewis from Nerd Report. She was coming into the States. And after I booked my tickets, she said, oh, it'll be such and such a date in September. All I had to do was extend my stay another week. And I went to that. And that was more of it was called Round 1. And they had like arcades, bowling, karaoke. They had a karaoke room we ended up being in. And that's where I met a lot more I met Tinkle Tits, Gene Rick, and other people that were in the chat. And that was so much fun. And that's what I want to see this community do too. However, we've got to do it. Because it's not so much to even meet, because I didn't even really talk to Andy those first 2 times. I hung back. It was, I mean, Kim and Steph were really nice to talk to. And a bunch of other people. And we had a Telegram room for just the people that went to Vegas to plan and stuff and talk to each other, which was cool too. And so I'd really like to see us just pick your own area and just, I know the first couple meetups Andy did was just at a bar in Tampa because he's in Florida and people showed up. The one in Vegas, we had a good long notice. So people were able to plan, like me, and get a decent price plane ticket. So I would like to see, maybe you could do one in Canada. We could do one in another state, and whoever's in those areas that you can all congregate, and not just to go protest, but just to do a meetup. So it doesn't necessarily have to be where there's an org. No, I think I sound like a little kid. I think it's a lot higher nasally than I hear right now. For sure. Yeah, you have a very calm voice. And that, I think that has a lot to do with it. Nobody's going to sit and listen to somebody with a, oh, what was that? Was it Fran Drescher? Oh, what was that show where she had that high nasally voice? And that wasn't her real voice, it was for the show. Very calm unless I'm yelling. Yeah. I got one of those voices. For sure. The Nanny. Yes. Yeah. I don't think I could listen to that like on a regular. The once a week show I could deal with. I don't even know if I watched like every episode of that show. If it was during the VHS period, I was terrible at learning how to record with those things. So it either needed to be, I need to be present or I didn't get to see it. That's just the way that is. Oh, I love the show. And I love her too. There's no way I could like go to a stream of hers on YouTube like all the time with that voice. It was okay. Actually, to be honest, I take that back. I haven't really found anybody whose voice Mr. Sheffield. I can't do accents at all. I haven't really found anybody that bothers me, really. I think it would take a lot. I do get on her, but I mean, I watched that show fine. She was overly. Oh, and there was a character just like her on Friends. Remember her? If the whole community meets up, it'll turn into an Animal House style food fight. I know. That's why I'm like, let's do sections. Let's do areas. It could. I think for the most part, everybody would be all right. I think it'd be fun. But I think we should wait till it warms up to be considering any of that. But I can't really do anything here because it's too far for anybody to travel. And but if you did something like anywhere else, East Coast, North, Canada, California, it's an easier drive than anybody trying to come here. Because no matter where you're coming from, you got to add 6 to 10 hours to your trip to get here. If you planned one, Scooter Mom, with enough notice, I would try to make it. I have to get a passport. Fran Drescher. Dr. Detroit. Oh, I remember that movie. I don't remember the details. I just know I've seen that movie. I don't remember her. Yeah, I have seen that she's and she was involved in the, oh, what was the strike? I forget. Afra, something. When all that was going on. You know what's funny? My husband and my son are both fairly quiet people, and they're the same way. His he dates loud, obnoxious women. Don't know why. Have no idea why. Oh, I think I'm winding down, y'all. I appreciate the chat, though. It's always fun. I could stay on here all day. I need to know when I have to make myself quit some days. But it's always fun listening to you guys. Or reading you guys. Still, it's still good. I like it. Yeah, well, what's funny is, I don't know if you guys heard, but like back when the internet was new and there was chat rooms, I had no interest. Of course, I was younger then. I had some friends because I was like, why do I need to go into a room and talk to people I'll never meet? And then look where I am now on YouTube. But I think it's a difference. I think because with Popcorn Planet and with this community, SBTV community, I think it, whereas the chat rooms, maybe I was never involved in it, so I don't know. Maybe there was like group interest in there. I don't know. Wasn't ever in it. I didn't know chat existed until like a year ago. I know. And if you're not on the right device, you don't see it. So when I would watch on my tablet, I had to have my phone open to chat. You read us a bedtime story, Dianetics, to help put us to sleep. Oh, it's 1 a.m. for you. Goodness. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I see that too. I see the disconnection, especially in younger people, that this is all they've had in their life. Um, oh gosh, I know. I've been in some of those, not for political, but just a bigger channel where it's just going, there's no way. Yeah. And I understand some hosts, it's distracting to them, and that's fine too. Um, but yeah. But yeah, even Lewis, when Lewis got on us, he's like, it wasn't that we couldn't chat. He wanted it to stay on the subject of what was going on the show, which I get that too. So everybody's different. Yeah, that's true. When I started my late night thing, it was early on, and I didn't know so many other people did late night stuff. I thought, well, if I do it late enough, I won't, you know, I won't be in other streamers' way. Yeah, yeah, that's true. We all look forward to you being in here, Adam. Yeah. So I mean, y'all know my story about the toxic friend, why I dropped off friends. So it did take me being in that other community for a while and then doing the meetups to feel this open about, you know, trying again. But it was comfortable. Maybe because we're not in each other's house all the time, or we got to go do things. We can just talk. And even though it's like hanging out with a group of friends, you can hang back when it gets to be too much too. You don't have to. But it took me a while to feel comfortable again. But I've never been somebody that it's easy to do, to keep quiet, to think. As you can tell, I have no filter. It's too much trouble for me to think ahead of what I'm going to say or do. And I just hope I don't tick anybody off. Because pretty much what goes in my brain comes out my mouth. Yeah. We definitely want to do that. Because this topic can, be very heavy at times. And without trivializing it, I don't think we try to have a little bit of fun too. Yeah. Yeah. I've learned stuff too. We never stop learning. I have a malfunctioning filter. Me too. Yeah, it is. It totally is. Yeah. So for me, it's just like, like the night, me and Scooter Mom went 7 hours because she was on here. We were face to face. It was like just sitting and hanging out like we would have before the computers. Yeah. I'm learning. Well, I'm learning right along with you guys. So, and that's why the only way I could make it through this book, because we've had some really, really good discussions. And I've said that, but I don't want to be a broken record. I've said that a lot. But, if I had tried to sit down and read this by myself, I'd have gave up a long time ago. So, and I have learned a lot. More than I see people in the chats that say what I consider probably insensitive things about people getting sucked into Scientology. Why, because they know Scientology bad, but they don't have kind of maybe all the details or understand how insidious and how slowly it gets you. It's not like a quick thing like that. And AA can probably back me up on that. From reading this book, you find out how slowly it's done, to where if you finally, and how he doesn't let you think for yourself, and you're always busy, and so busy that you're stressed out and you don't have time to think about it. And then eventually the next time, if you do notice, 10 or 15 years have gone by. And so I get it that there's a lot of people that are new, that haven't done the research, that haven't been around as much as us. So AA, please forgive those people. They just don't know what we've learned about how, it you can be a completely intelligent, wonderful person and get sucked in and not even know that's what's happening. So that's a lot of what I've learned, that how LRH planned this all out, did years of study in order to facilitate this thing that he created. Yes. And then he also learned, how to keep you there. So my only hope is, if we can't make a change as fast as we'd like, I'm hoping that, David Miscavige is getting old. And maybe when he goes, the next person won't have the same hold on people that he did. That maybe it'll splinter and it'll show some cracks. That's my only other hope. Oh, I just missed some comments. Yeah, me neither. I mean, I'm about to come up on my year anniversary. Do you believe it? Next month. I have to go back and find out the exact day I went live. So I'm going to do something that day. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So I need to start looking at that. So I'm going to have a 1-year stream. So I'm already being philosophical about it a little bit. That's okay, Miss Sunrise. Because I know I started going out the week prior. So I think I might be getting right at a month out till my 1 year. So I can't believe it, because when I started, I had no clue what I was going to be doing. So I'm going to go now, you guys. This has been great. Great talking. You missed the fouls. All right. I looked at weather coming up and it looks pretty nice, so I should be able to get out to Austin this week. I really need to. I need to get back in the swing of things. I keep wondering, how did I go out when it was 110 degrees religiously 3 times a week, and then it finally cools off, but like Texas always does, it goes from summer winter. We have no autumn. So, or it was raining ridiculous. So that's the only thing that'll keep me away is rain, because A, these people don't know how to drive in the rain, and B, I don't want to get struck by lightning. Getting wet does not bother me. I would stand out there with a poncho on. But I've got all those metal light poles right near me. Don't want to take the chance. All right, you guys, you have a good week if I don't see you in the chats. And hopefully we'll be done with this pretty soon. We have Dianetics next week. I melt in rain. Yep. Okay. Thanks. Okay, that's about when I go to bed. To be honest, really. All right, Irish Mart. And all you guys, thank you. We vow to stay forever. We're going to be here till Scientology, something happens with Scientology. I'm not going to quit until anything happens. Hearings, whatever, something. Yep. All right. Bye, y'all. I'll see you later.